Hey guys, so welcome to my third Halloween tutorial. This tutorial I am actually doing on my boyfriend. Thank you for being a trooper and letting me do this. He even shaved his beard so I could do this makeup on him. And I didn't make him do it. He offered and surprised me and shaved because he knew I really wanted to do this. But anyways, this tutorial is going to be like a half skull with ripped skin. I just started off by mapping out the area that I want the skull to be in. I've never done a skull like this, like a more realistic skull, let alone on somebody else. So it's not perfect. I definitely could use some practice, but I do really like the way it turned out, and I think for my first attempt, it's pretty good. So anyways, I am starting to fill in the bottom half of the skull with whites, and as you can see, I had like a nude pencil and I basically mapped out where I wanted the jaw part to be. I didn't want to use a black pencil because I knew the second I hit it with white it's going to turn gray, so I just used that nude pencil to kind of map out the area that I wanted, and then I'll go back in and draw everything in with black. But basically I'm just getting like a thin layer of white paint. I'm not being perfect. I just kind of want to map out the general area, and as you can notice, I'm not really going towards the mouth because I need to draw on the teeth, and again, I don't want to put white there and then draw it in with black because then it's going to turn all gray. So I'm avoiding the mouth area right now, and then I'll go back in later. Okay, so now I'm going to start off with the teeth. The teeth are the trickiest part because when you're doing a skull like this on yourself, you're able to control your mouth a little bit more. You can move it in a position that's easier to draw on and all that. When you're doing it on somebody else, you have to work with their mouth shape. And my boyfriend's top lip, it was fine drawing the teeth on the top lip, but the bottom lip, he has like his lip kind of hangs over a little bit and dips in, so it's really hard to get like a straight line and stuff. So keep that in mind if you're going to be doing makeup like this on somebody else. It is going to be way different than doing it on yourself, especially the teeth, because everyone's mouth and lips are different, and you can't expect like somebody to hold their mouth in a certain position the whole time you're doing their makeup. You know, that's uncomfortable for them. So you basically just have to work with what you got. But anyways, I started off by kind of drawing the teeth in with the white, and then I'm going to go back in and define them with the black, but I went back and forth. Then you'll see me drawing with the black and then filling it in with the white. I just kind of went back and forth between two techniques. And I know they look a little crazy now, but in the end, it all kind of works out and comes together. The thing with this skull makeup is it looks so crazy while you're doing it, and it looks like, oh my god, like how is this going to look in the end? But after you do the finishing details and stuff, it all works out, I promise. But anyways, I drew two black lines in a straight line to help be a guide for the teeth. You don't want to curve the teeth really too much. You kind of want to keep them on that straight line and use that as a guide. And yeah, basically I'm just drawing in little, like, I guess they're almost like Hershey Kisses, but not really. I kept these ones a little bit more on the straight side. Okay, so now I am going ahead and drawing, kind of outlining the jaw parts, and I'm just using, I think I was using a black face paint, and I'm just kind of drawing like a rough little draft of what I want it to be and what I want it to look like. And once you start shading it in, it'll look way better, but basically you just want to get the outline and shape that you're going for with the black. And then I took like an angled, very fine brush. I got a lot of the brushes that I'm using actually in like the craft section at Walmart, because they're great for detail work. So basically I'm using this really precise brush, and I'm going to start shading in the outer edges of the jaw area with the black face paint. I'm not bringing it all the way in. I'm not coloring it all the way in because I do want to leave a little bit of the center area that way I can shade it in and make it look faded and not, you don't want it to be like one black blob. You want it to have a little bit of dimension by adding lighter color. And as you can see now, I'm just adding more teeth. This time I was outlining them with the black liner, and then I was filling them in with the white afterwards. And the last like set of teeth that I applied in that area, they're not like super precise because I wanted them to kind of fade into the black. So yeah, that's a little tip that you can follow if you want it to look a little bit more realistic. Here, I was just taking a black shadow and just going in between the teeth and just kind of pushing the shadow upwards and downwards because I wanted the black to kind of fade out. I don't want the teeth to look like perfect little chiclets. I want them to be a little bit faded, and just fading that black into the white face paint. So now I'm just taking what was ever left on my brush with the white face paint, and I'm just fading it into the teeth because there was some skin still exposed, so I wanted to get rid of that and cover it up with the white. Here I just went back in with some white and re-added it on the teeth just so they looked a little bit more vibrant because they were starting to get a little gray from applying the black shadow in between. And then I'm just taking the brush again and kind of blending it all out, the brush that I used to apply the white with. That way everything is nice and blended. And then I'm taking a black shadow and setting the outer edges of the jaw, and then I will be taking a gray shadow and then a white shadow and just kind of bringing all those colors towards the center. That way there's a little bit more dimension in the jaw area. So now that the other side is done, I'm going to go ahead and start doing a little bit of shading on the outside of the jaw area, and I'm using a light brown shadow for this part. And basically I'm just very lightly kind of going with the shape of the jaw to create a little bit of shadowing. I'm not using a black. I wanted to use more of a brown just to actually represent shadow a little bit better. I feel like the brown is a little bit more realistic. So yeah, I'm just basically lightly shading, and then I did go over it a little bit with the white face paint just to blend it all out. And now I'm going ahead with white shadow and just kind of setting the white paint a little bit to get rid of any shininess and also make it a little bit more opaque. Okay, so now moving on to the nose. I actually struggled with this a little bit. Well, I redid it a few times just because I am somewhat of a perfectionist, so if I'm not liking something, I just want to redo it. But yeah, you'll see me kind of playing around with it a little bit, removing parts, adding parts. I just did like a basic nose where it has like the 2 points and then the blacked out tip of the nose. You can do like the 2 separate triangles, whatever you want, but this is just what I did. Here I'm just going in with some black liner and just kind of defining the outer edges, and then I'm cleaning everything up with white face paints in the areas where you can still see skin. I'm going ahead and shading in the outer edges with black shadow, and then I'm going to put a little bit of gray shadow on the tip of the nose, again to add dimension and just shade it a little bit. And also it's going to get rid of any shininess that's on the nose as well. Okay, so now moving on to more of the special effects parts and the ripped skin, I'm going to be laying down a layer of liquid latex. I'm using one by Nye. That is my favorite liquid latex that I've ever tried, and I'm laying down cotton, and the cotton is going to give the illusion of textured skin or ripped skin, and then I'm going to be covering the cotton with latex. This isn't exactly how I wanted it to turn out. I really did want it to look a little bit more realistic, but I guess it's all about the overall effect, and the overall effect gives you that idea that the skin is ripped. I wish I had more latex, that way I could have really saturated the cotton and smoothed everything out on the edges, but what you see there, that little bottle, that's the only latex that I had, and I could have ran out to a local Halloween store, but to be honest, all the local Halloween stores by me have like literally the worst latex, so I just worked with what I had from last year, and as you can see there, I'm just covering the cotton with latex. That way I'm able to go in later and cover it with foundation. You can totally use tissue for this part, but I wanted to use cotton because cotton gives off more texture than tissue does with latex, and tissue sometimes you have to layer a lot for it to give a lot of texture. With cotton you don't really have to try that hard because it's already so fluffy, but you can use whatever you prefer or whatever you have at your house. It's totally up to you. So now I'm going ahead and covering the latex area with foundation, and I'm also going to bring the foundation up onto the rest of his face. That way it's all kind of one color and it doesn't look like it doesn't match. And you want to really get into those little crevices because you don't want to see the cotton. You want everything to be one color. It doesn't need to be perfect, but you do want to get it pretty saturated. So now that I have the foundation on, I'm going to start adding in some eyeshadow, and I'm using browns, red browns, and blacks to shade in underneath that latex area to give the effect of a shadow and also act as a base for the blood that I'm going to be applying a little bit later. And then I'm going into the crevices of the liquid latex and adding some browns and stuff. You know, if you think about it, it is ripped skin, so it's not going to be one perfect like piece of skin. You know, it's going to be ripped. It's going to be jaggedy, it's going to be discolored and bruised, and I'm not trying to be gory, but you know, if you think about it in a realistic way, you do want to add shadowing, and you know, don't be scared to add different colors onto the skin area. It's just going to look like bruising and stuff like that. You know, the more you add, you don't want to go like overboard, but the more you add, the more it's going to look realistic. Here I was just adding some black shadow with a smaller brush right at the base of that latex, and by adding that it's just gonna make it look more realistic, I guess, when you put the blood on. You don't want to add the blood right over the whites. I just personally think it's better if you have a darker base for the blood to go over. As you can see, my boyfriend's getting a little tired there. This actually took like probably like an hour and a half, so he was sitting there for a while. But anyways, I'm just adding the blood with a small little brush right at the base of the skin. I didn't want it to be dripping or anything because I didn't want it to take away from the skull that I worked so hard on. So I just wanted it at the base. Scab Blood by Ben Nye would be the best for this because it's really dark and it sticks in the place wherever you put it. It's like a gel, so that would have been best, but I only had the Stage Blood, so that's what I used. I decided to add some cracks with some black eyeliner. I don't know why, I just like the way it looked. I did that on my last skull tutorial, so I decided to just add a few little cracks, nothing too dark. I kept it pretty light and I didn't add too many, just a few, just, you know, little details. And then I did go over them a little bit with the white paint just so they aren't like in your face and it's not the first thing you see. It's just a little thing to add. So I went ahead and made his eyes look like they were black and blue. I just felt like the top half of his face was missing something, so I felt like I needed to do something for it to all come together. So I'm adding like a dark red brown. Actually, it was more of like a red purple shade into the inner corners. It makes like the best color for a black eye, and I'm just focusing it on the inner corner of his eyes and then fading it out. And then I did take a little bit of yellow and put it towards the edges of that reddish shadow, because if you notice, bruises do have a little bit of yellow in them, so you want to use like more red, blues, and then kind of fade it into like a little bit of a yellow shade. That's what's going to make it look really realistic. By the way, I know I haven't really been talking about which products I'm using throughout this tutorial. Don't worry, they will all be listed down below. I just feel like with Halloween looks, like people just tend to use whatever they have on hand. You don't have to use the exact products I use. You can use, you know, similar colors, but you know, you don't have to use the same products. Right here, I was just adding some brown to the perimeters of his forehead because I feel like I needed to balance out the whole face since everywhere else had something going on. I feel like his forehead needed a little something. Okay, now the look is complete, so now I'm just going back in and adding little details, tweaking little things, just seeing what I want to, you know, perfect a little bit. But that is it for the tutorial. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to like and share this video with your friends or on Facebook. And if you recreate it, definitely tag me on Instagram. I would love to see. And if you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. So I will try and get one more Halloween tutorial up. If you have any requests, let me know. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video.